Hello, everyone. The GOAT here is back again speaking to you all. So just make sure that you are sitting up in your chairs, that you're turning up your volume here, and for the hard of hearing, put in your hearing aids because this is invaluable knowledge here that you do not want to miss out. Um, I am considered to be by some a boxing historian, so basically what I say needs to be listened to if you are in the boxing community. Anyway, so yesterday was the merciful conclusion of the Logan Paul and Floyd Mayweather fight. And a lot of people are experiencing buyer's remorse after the thief in the night, Floyd Mayweather, put on his ski mask and went into your checkings account and stole $50 from you and didn't care and laughed at your face as you wonder the next day, what happened? What did I just watch? And why did I do this again? Now, there are a few people online, like notable sports personalities, who are defending this event, saying it's good for boxing, it gives it exposure, and yada, yada, yada. They're entitled to their own opinions. If they don't mind throwing away money for crazy circus act shows, that's their deal. Maybe they just, you know, have a lot of money they don't know what to spend it on. But for the hardworking Americans out there and wherever you are in the world, I want to just give you my condolences if you spent your hard earned cash on this event because a lot of people on social media are blasting Floyd for this. And one of the main reasons why I saw was all the anticipation for a main event that sputtered, that didn't even live up to expectations of a knockdown, let alone a knockout. And the fact that the entire streaming service went awry, that there was all kinds of problems with the stream and ordering the fight, and the whole thing seemed to be a complete shit show. And I heard that even there was a little bit of a delay due to weather concerns or whatever. I mean, the whole thing, it really just, it felt like a thriller. It felt like a thriller event, even though it was actually a Showtime pay-per-view boxing event, if you can believe that. Anyway, let's move on to the actual event itself. So Floyd Mayweather, we know he's been out of the ring for a while. We know he was facing a guy who was a little bit bigger than him. Excuse me, he was a lot bigger, about 30 pounds heavier than him. But I want to just make a distinction here. For the people that think I'm a Floyd Mayweather hater or that I'm biased against him, I mean, I consider him to be a top 10 fighter of all time. In a sport like boxing that has a very rich history, that's not something that I can say lightly. I mean, that's huge praise. I think there's an argument you could put him in the top five. I think that highly of him. And I know he's getting into his 40s, and I know he hasn't fought in a while, but he's not like 80 years old, and he's fought in exhibitions and he's been keeping himself in shape. I was expecting him to at least knock down Logan Paul, if not knock him out. And he did neither of those. It seems like Logan Paul was actually able to keep his own in there in the ring and was able to actually land a couple of his own shots on the defensive wizard himself. And I just, I can't believe that this shit happened. I just can't believe it. Floyd Mayweather doesn't really seem to care about the consequence of his actions to the sport itself, the sport that helped propel him to be the very rich man that he is. He benefited from this. He got paid. Who knows what kind of impact that these kind of events, these kind of circus clown shows will have on boxing as a whole, if it will impact its legitimacy and longevity in the public's spotlight. But we'll have to wait and see. One thing's for certain, as long as Floyd Mayweather is getting paid, he doesn't care about what happens. We know that much for sure. Anyway, the one thing that rubbed me the wrong way, which I want to kind of present to as a question to the Floyd Mayweather faithfuls out there. Why is Manny Pacquiao, the fact that he's fighting the best boxers pound for pound in the world still, seen in a negative light? Like, why is that, like, why can Floyd Mayweather use that fact as a diss, as a knock on Pacquiao? As a competitor himself, shouldn't he appreciate the courageousness and the absolutely legendary competitive nature of Manny Pacquiao, still deciding voluntarily to climb into the ring with a young, hungry, unbeaten pound-for-pound world champion in Errol Spence at the ripe age of 42, when the past three times Mayweather hopped in the ring was against a YouTuber, against a 100-pound Japanese kickboxer who was he even 18 years old, and against Conor McGregor, a MMA UFC fighter, not a boxer. That's the last three times Floyd Mayweather has been in the ring. The last three times we've seen him compete. And the last time three times we've seen Manny Pacquiao in the ring. Well, this one will be against a unified pound-for-pound world champion in Errol Spence. Before that was against the WBA undefeated welterweight champion Keith Thurman. And before that was against once heralded as a top pound-for-pound fighter, thought of as, a future star in the sport, but kind of, tapered out a little bit, Adrian Broner, who was still a very viable and live opponent, especially for a 40-year-old Pacquiao. Now, you compare and you stack up the recent history of both guys. You see one guy who's still daring to be great, who's still taking the chance to prove people wrong, who's actively trying to enhance his legacy, who's trying to inspire younger fighters and just people in general that age is just a number, and belief in yourself and the willpower can often trump things like age and, father time itself. Manny Pacquiao is the epitome of someone daring to be great. And Floyd Mayweather is the epitome of someone looking out to only line his own pockets, not caring about anything else, looking out for himself and himself only. Now, when Floyd Mayweather went on his presser yesterday to trash Manny Pacquiao, saying that he feels bad that Manny's still having to fight real boxers and he's still having to compete against tough opponents, I say shame on you, Floyd. Shame on you for saying that, man. This guy is going out there. He's putting his life on the line, real blood, sweat, and tears against a person who is a murderer at the welterweight division. I mean, this guy's a beast, and I don't say that lightly. I've watched a lot of Errol Spence fights. I think Pacquiao is in for a very, very tough evening on August 21st. Or is it August 14th? I'm not entirely sure. So for Floyd to go on and say some shit like that, I mean, just keep fighting the Paul brothers, man. Just keep hosting these clown shows and Showtime. If they want to pay you 10, 20 million for him, good for them. All I know is that after what happened last night, I think Floyd, you're looking a bit like your age, buddy. And it's time to hang him up. I think it's time to call it a day. No more exhibitions. Maybe if there's another 100-pound teenager in Japan that wants to fight you, you could go back over there again. Maybe you could get a stoppage then. But this is just disgraceful from Floyd Mayweather. And this just further fuels my hope that Manny Pacquiao can pull off the unthinkable and become nearly the undisputed welterweight champion in August. I don't know how likely that will be, but I hope it does happen. Anyway, my last thing, Floyd Mayweather, just shame on you, man. At this point, I don't even think he deserves to speak the GOAT's name. And pressers or whatever, just don't talk about the GOAT, because Pac-Man is the real GOAT for taking on true challenges. And yeah, that's all I gotta say, folks.